3 mystery box rounds. 2 art teachers, just 1 chance to create frame-worthy artwork. Who will make their mark? The challenge? Art teachers just like you tackle lesson planning with a mystery box filled with unexpected surprises. Who will stand out? There are 3 rounds: the Bellringer, the art project, and the closure activity. Each lesson component comes with its own box of mystery art supplies. You must use all of the supplies in some way. Also available to you, anything you can locate in your art room or your art closet. You must use every mystery box supply in some way and transform that item.
This might get a little tricky and I might need some help.
At the end, you'll reflect and evaluate yourself on your successes, challenges, and creativity. Will your students create frame-worthy artworks? Or will you need to reframe for next time?
All right, we're ready. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Art of Education's Framed, the ultimate art teacher showdown where creativity is key and the transformation of materials is the only way to survive. I'm your host, Jonathan Jervich. In today's episode, we have 2 art teachers who are going to explore literacy. There is such a magical connection between the written word and visual imagery. Picture books can prompt a new art experience, teach a valuable lesson, and connect us to history, culture, and one another. I'm really looking forward to this episode.
Hey art teachers, my name is Fredi Bockover and I'm a K-5 elementary art teacher in Columbus, Ohio. Maybe this is a stereotypical art teacher thing, but I think one thing that makes me stand out is I have earrings for every project and every occasion. I've seen Jessica on Instagram and she's basically a jack of all trades, so I gotta be prepared.
Hi art teachers, my name is Jessica Stuver and I am a K-8 art teacher in Cleveland, Ohio. I teach all 480 of the kindergartners through 8th graders at my school. What makes my teaching style stand out? I will always be your biggest cheerleader. I have loved art since I was a very young child. I remember my grandparents asking me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I believe I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I said that I wanted to be an artist. So I've seen Fredi's Instagram, and if one of these challenges has to do with graphic design or illustration, I'm probably in trouble. Great. We can do this.
Have a sweet competition. There's never a time in my life or in my childhood where I can remember not loving visual art. Some of my first memories are just like drawing and making up stories for hours and hours. Let's do this thing.
All right, round 1 is our Bellringer activity.
This sounds like rice.
That sounds like a lot of small items.
Okay, let's see.
Fredi and Jessica, you have sketchbooks, colored pencils.
We also have rulers.
Tape, masking tape, duct tape, etc.
And your wild card item, rainbow googly eyes.
Googly eyes in here.
So many googly eyes.
I love a googly eye. In addition, our contestants have access to 2 Flex resources. Fredi, you will have the Look Again Close Reading Images resource, while Jessica, you have access to the Reading Text and Images Crosswalk resource.
Okay, rulers, sketchbooks, color pencils, tape, and googly eyes.
Ooh, my gears are turning now. I have so many ideas.
All right, let's go.
We will be using a poem and artwork pairing to create a chart that will compare the text and the image. This will allow the students to use the sketchbook paper, rulers, and colored pencils. One of the parts of the text and images crosswalk is finding the main idea. So we will be using the googly eyes in order to literally mark the main idea. I printed off large versions of both the poem and the artwork that we are going to be looking at. The students will be using the masking tape to adhere the googly eyes to the emphasis in the artwork and to the main idea or most important line in the poem.
Comment down below with what you would do with the mystery box items in this episode.
I kind of want my students to make a map, throw on a paper, and then wherever it lands, it helps you make like an organic map shape. I think that would be really cool. I'm thinking with my Flex resource, I could have them maybe look at some maps and history or like artwork of maps, and then throw these on here. Maybe we could tape the paper to the table so it doesn't like go crazy. The ruler is throwing me. I don't know about the ruler, but I'm thinking like Ireland or Iceland.
Make sure you subscribe for more fun and inspiring art teacher videos just like this one.
One of the things that I had to do to pivot with round one was simplifying this document, especially if this is meant to be a Bellringer. We are going to focus on the purpose, asking questions, monitoring yourself, and then with the googly eyes, the main ideas of both the text and the image. So it still uses a lot of the same questions. It still very much uses this resource, but it just simplifies it for our time frame.
Jessica, you modified the Flex resource to meet your needs and that of your students. So fantastic. That is what's so great about these resources, that they are a jumping off point for what you need for your specific classroom. Fredi, you called it. Sometimes our ideas for a Bellringer are truly just our initial thoughts on a completed lesson, and you use that ruler to tear the edges of the paper to make it look like a worn map. Great idea to sneak in that required material.
In my opinion, I think round one was a success. I think maybe this project would work better not as a Bellringer project. I think maybe it should have been like an actual project. I do think the Flex resource was a success. They enjoyed looking at that map and looking again. I think that was a really good addition to the beginning of class to get their brains warmed up. But overall, I would say it was a success.
I would happily use the questions from the Flex resource again. They were really good questions, especially since you can pick and choose what you want to for your students and what makes the most sense for the group that you're teaching. I'm really proud that we were able to effectively include all of the supplies that we were meant to. I'm also really proud of the students for being open-minded to including a poem in our art analysis and to also being open-minded to using different supplies for an art analysis than we usually do.
All right, round two is our art project.
Okay, round two. Let's see what we got. Let's see.
You have mat board or thin cardboard, scrap paper,
Scissors, great.
needles and thread,
Embroidery floss.
and your wild card item is rainbow feathers.
It's absolutely full of feathers.
It is so many feathers. Oh my gosh.
And now to our Flex resources for this round. For elementary, Fredi has access to the Drawing Stories resource, and Jessica's secondary resource is Visual Elements of a Story. Let's go.
Because of our time frame, I did pick a different text, a poem, and we are going to explore specifically the theme. We are going to make collagraph prints based off of the theme of the poem. I think this is going to work really well because of the materials that came in this box, such as the feathers, which I'm going to be finding for days afterwards, I'm sure, but also the mat board is a perfect collagraph plate. We can use the scrap paper, the scissors, and the needle and thread in order to get some amazing textures. Can I do this without losing a feather? No, I can't.
Round two, let's plan. I'm thinking that we do the Drawing Stories prompt and then we make an abstract painting maybe on cardboard or on scrap paper using the feathers as a paintbrush. And I have a bunch of scrap paper that's like shiny and patterned, so I think that would be fun maybe for like a collage? I don't know.
A very necessary pivot for round two. I don't use needles and thread with my students very often. I, in fact, don't even have regular needles. What I do have is a lot of the big plastic needles, and I do have yarn. So that is how we are going to substitute and make this work.
Jessica, you spoke it. More time. We always need just more time, don't we? When you revisit this idea in the future, maybe you do just lean into providing more time and students making multiple prints and experimenting. But believe me, I get the pull to move forward to the next thing. That struggle is real. Fredi, whoa, what colorful, wild works of art. Using feathers as paintbrushes? I've never done that. What a great challenge for all of us to try. New, unexpected ways to apply paint to a surface.
What I'm really proud of of the students is the conversation that we had on the first day of this round, analyzing the artwork, coming up with different ideas, and really understanding the theme. I think they did that really well. Something that was a challenge with round 2 was actually also the timing. Even though the students really rose to the challenge, I think they would have benefited from more time to work on this. I think I could have dedicated more time to the actual printing process and being able to explain it a little bit more effectively.
I would never, ever have thought to make something like this, and the students loved it, and they all overwhelmingly were like, I can't believe how much this feels like my story, and they had so much fun making it. I think this was like such an amazing takeaway from this. I never ever would have thought to do this, and it was so fun.
And we've made it to round 3, our final round. You have dark colored construction paper, scissors, glue sticks, and your wild card item, metallic washable markers. And that brings us to our flex resources. For elementary, we have compose a claim statement resource. And for secondary, how to interpret a work of art resource.
I definitely have some thinking to do.
That's it. I'm excited.
Each student will make a mini book. They will have a dark construction paper cover. We will decorate the covers using those super fun crayons, the scrap paper, and the other materials that were listed. And then we will be writing answers down, how to interpret a work of art, interpreting an artwork. I love bookmaking. I don't get to do it nearly enough with this age group. And also, I like the image to text connection.
Glue sticks. I think they're amazing. But what a debate amongst our teachers. Maybe you hear glue sticks and you're running the other direction.
This is so exciting. I was thinking maybe with the construction paper, if we folded it in half and made a pop out, maybe I could think of a painting to go along with this claim statement. I almost feel like it might be the hardest to elevate. I'm a little nervous. I'm hoping to do this with second graders, so we'll see. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
But wait, where can I go to gain access to these Flex resources? Check out the link in the description box for more information. One of the most exciting aspects of Flex is that Flex is flexible. Flex curriculum is a K-12 standards-aligned art curriculum with lesson plans, resources, assessments, videos, and so much more. Your philosophy, your school population, your access to resources all impact your curricular delivery. And Flex is here to help. Jessica, mini books? Yes. Just think about if we made tiny books for students to always use during any reflection or closure activity. They would be so way easier to store and distribute than a larger sketchbook. Pop-ups inspired by Monet. I see it. And Fredi, these turned out so great. Celebrate this curricular win. I'm sure these kids loved their final artworks, and it's inspiring me too.
Round 3 was probably my favorite of the 3 rounds. We had a great conversation about an artwork. I have a variety of wonderful mini books that they made using the dark construction paper, the scrap paper, and the really fun crayons that we were sent. And we were able to have a great discussion about the artwork as well.
Round 3, I think went okay. It was definitely fun. And it's really cool. I feel like the other 2 rounds, maybe I got out of my comfort zone more. I think these pop-up pieces turned out really good, inspired by Monet. Maybe this would be good for older students because they were second graders. But overall, I think it went okay.
Definitely one of the biggest challenges for me is just the time factor. This part doesn't surprise me, but I'm not exactly spontaneous. I usually take weeks, maybe even months to think a new project through and to plan it out in every detail. I think it was really good for me though. I think it was a really awesome creative challenge and a really good way to set an example for my students to take on new things that might scare you a little bit.
If you ever feel like stuck lesson planning wise and you can't get out of your own head, this really was an awesome way. It made me super excited. It was really nice to kind of dabble with these Flex resources. I think the most challenging part for me was just really kind of getting over the first hurdle of wondering what to do with all the supplies. But after that, I think everything was like delightful.
We have come to the end of this episode, and there is no way we could ever pick a winner. Both Fredi and Jessica created framed masterpieces. So, you both are winners! Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next great mini-series from the Art of Ed. I am Jonathan Jervich, and this has been Framed. Every masterpiece needs a frame, and it has been an honor to see each contestant stand out.